but he had so many gay friends. So
Right.
what, the name of the podcast has it as really truthfully a dichotomy. You're Mormon, but also you're a gay escort. You are gay for pay, but you're homophobic. All of these things are completely polar opposites.
So you thought this man that you were falling in love with was an alpha male, and then you started discovering he was actually a submissive to these gay men.
Totally.
And so is he denying that he's having sex with these sugar daddies?
Yeah.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the #1 sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And Lily?
The unfiltered.
Yes, the shocking stories of sugar dating.
Shockingly, I shocked you when I was filtered, so you made me unfilter.
So Lily's joining us via Zoom, and she's playing with all these avatars and all these filters. You guys can't see it, but she's having fun with it. And I'm like, just bring the Lily back that we all know and love.
The real deal.
So she does have a Caribbean background on Zoom, which is kind of cool because she just got back from Curacao, which was a really nice trip with your sugar daddy.
I'm channeling those beach vibes to counteract the cold.
So we had fun.
Cold.
Your guy had a birthday this last week.
He sure did.
My girl had a birthday yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So what Lily and I figured out is we're both Aries, and both of our significant others are
Aquarius.
No way.
How does that work?
I'm an Aquarius.
Are you really? You just had a birthday? Or you're having one?
Coming up.
All right. Well, our guest piped in. We'll just say hi to Amanda, but we're going to bring her in just a few minutes. But hey, glad to know that she's an Aquarius. Isn't that funny? Lily and I actually dated for a little bit casually. We had fun. We weren't each other's person, but we really liked each other. But, we really found some vibes with Aquarius.
Yeah, it must be a thing.
Must be a thing. I don't know.
Aquarius, Aries compatibility.
You'll have to check that. My mom used to do all these charts for me, but now that she's up there in the stars, I'm going to have to figure out another way to do the charts.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I went on a first date one time with a guy, and that's all he talked about the entire lunch was astrology. And I find it fascinating, but he made it real boring.
Yeah. Well, it can be, I guess. There's some people who are really into it. Some people let it dictate their lives. I'm kind of with a notion of that's nice information, but then let's move on. I don't know. I've dated all kinds of signs, and I've had all kinds of experiences. I can't say one's better than the other. I don't know.
Well, I can say one to avoid for myself. I don't know about you.
Well, I know you don't like
Which one?
the Scorpio.
Oh, yep.
The
Stay away
fucking
from the
Scorpio.
Scorpio.
All right. Well, a little story. So I'm still on Bumble. I swipe through. When people put their Instagram, I'll go follow it on the podcast page and just see if there's anything interesting that comes of it. So I was on Bumble the other day. A girl had her Instagram, and I looked it up. Lo and behold, she has a podcast. So I went and looked at the podcast, and it's quite interesting. So I asked her if she'd come in and talk a little bit about her podcast and find out a little bit more about her and why she's doing this. I know why I started this podcast, and I think it's a very similar reason why she started hers, although the stories, we both have shocking stories. Ours are mostly about sugar dating, and hers involve a little bit of sugar dating, so that's kind of why I thought it was appropriate to bring her on. But it gets into a lot deeper than that. That's just like a small component of it. So I want to welcome Amanda to the show from the Dichotomy Diaries Podcast.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Well, you're here in person in Scottsdale, but you don't live here any longer, do you?
No, I don't. I live in Chicago now.
Okay.
Due to, I guess, repercussions of the circumstance.
What you talk about on your podcast?
What I talk about in the podcast. Yeah, I lived here in North Scottsdale for 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
So you know
yeah.
this area well.
I do. This is my home. I mean, my roots are in Chicago, but this is my home.
Okay. And then the gentleman that the podcast basically is about, he was from Nevada,
Las
Vegas.
Yep.
Did you meet him here?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
he
right.
had just moved to Phoenix when I was moving back. I went home for a little bit and then I came back. And he's like, I don't have any friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll be
well,
your
what did he
friend.
come to Phoenix for? And I'm jumping way ahead because I want to get some backstory, but just real quickly, why was he in Phoenix area?
So he wanted to get away from the Las Vegas lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
He's a compulsive gambler.
And we're going to get into that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other stuff that, Las Vegas lifestyle, I guess, alludes to. He wanted to get away from it and he was trying to have like a, I don't know, rebirth of who he is.
Okay. A lot of the reason I came to Arizona from Texas,
Okay.
I had a breakup. I didn't have a job, and I said, where am I going to start over? So that was it.
It's a good place.
Now let's dive back a little bit before. Now you said in your podcast that you had dabbled a little bit in sugar dating, but you never really got into deep on that.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Okay, how old are you right now?
I'm 32. I'm going
Okay.
to be 33 in February.
Okay, so just to give people kind of a timeline. All right, take us back.
So actually, the reason that I relocated to Arizona was a result of sugar dating. So I have now been married twice. I was married to my high school sweetheart at like 21. Didn't work out. 6 months later, we're divorced. After that, I really wanted to just like have some fun, like no commitment. I hadn't really dated,
How old were you when you got divorced?
I think I was 21. It was in the same year.
Wow.
It was 6 months later.
Lily, you had a short marriage, didn't you? Like one that was really short?
Nope.
Oh, I was thinking that you had like a 1 year.
Mine were like
Maybe that was podcast fanboy.
5-6 years.
Oh, okay.
The two first ones are around 5-6 years, and this last one was 14 years.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
I was together with this person for 7 years, and then it was like, okay, what's the next step? We get married. What's the next step? We have babies. That wasn't working how we wanted it to work, and so we really were just like, let's call quits. So around that time really was like when Tinder started being really, really big, and I'm not even really sure how I came across a sugar dating website, and truthfully, my memory is good. It was not Seeking. It was Sugar Daddy with an IE.com.
Yeah, I believe I know that one.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I was on that one and it was so not user friendly. And I matched with somebody and he lived close to me in Chicago. And I was like super nervous. I'm like, okay. So I go out and I think the first thing that we did, our first date was actually we went to an art exhibit downtown Chicago. And I'm an intellectual. Like I hate using the word sapiosexual, but like I don't want to do just the basic stuff. Kind of impressed me a little bit. So we went down and did that. And from then on, we just started having a lot of unique experiences. He is, God, I never remember. I think he's probably 67 now.
So he was in his 50s when you met.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. He was 3 or 4 years older than my father.
And how did that make you feel? You didn't mind it, or did you feel a little weird about it?
I actually didn't mind it because I was attracted to him physically. He was super, super intelligent. And he just like had this like young spirit about him.
Mm-hmm.
And also he was like teaching me stuff like all the time. So if you're teaching me something, like there is value there and I love it. There wasn't any like negative. Maybe the only negative thought that I had was, how is my family going to react to this? Because initially it was, this is just sugar dating. Like we'll go on dates and we'll go on trips and whatever, buy you stuff. And I think it was like the second trip we went out to San Diego. We were supposed to go to Disney World. That flight got canceled because of weather. And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, let's just go somewhere random. And he's like, you've never seen pandas. Your name's Amanda. It's like my nickname. And he's like, so let's go to the San Diego Zoo. So we flew out to San Diego. And I think at some point in the airport, he was like, I feel like some type of way about you. Like, that's not how he said it, but it went from being sugar to being real.
Well, and how soon into that?
It was less than 6 months.
Oh, okay. So you had time. It wasn't like
It wasn't
3
right.
days into it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't 3 days, but it
Okay.
was less than a year, it was less than 6 months, and I had not expected that. I also felt the same, but because I was like, he was not new to this scene,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I was, and so I didn't really know how to articulate my feelings with that. So I think I had kind of kept all of it in, which is really hard for me to do. But he was like, wow, I really like you. Like, you know.
And what was your
I think
response?
that he actually said he's like,
Thanks.
he's like, I la. Like he was going to say love and he's like you.
Oh, Alejandra did that to me, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Lily, she goes, I really
She-
like you.
Isn't that, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I remember that. I remember like where we were standing too. It's so crazy. And so kind of fast forward a little bit, we ended up moving in together probably like 6 months later. So it was after a year.
Wow.
We were in Arlington Heights, Illinois, so right on the metro line. And then, I don't know, I think he was like, we should go to Scottsdale because I have a condo, and he had a condo up north. And I was like, okay. So we had such a good time. He was like, you want to like move here? And I'm like, fuck it, why not?
And you didn't have a job at the time? School?
I'm trying
What
to
are you doing?
think. I think I was online colleging at the time. I'm pretty sure I was like doing DeVry.
Mm-hmm.
And did I have a job?
Apparently not one that
No,
was
I don't
of
think. I
importance.
don't think that I had a job. I think that I had recently stopped working. I was working in like assisted living, like healthcare was my background before, and yeah, definitely wasn't working. So I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Cool.
And so this was going to be the first time that I was going to live outside of Illinois. My parents, I'm Sicilian family. They're like, oh my God, are you serious? But they actually really liked him. My family's very accepting, and they loved him.
How soon did they meet him into the relationship?
Well, they resisted for a while.
Yeah.
They resisted for
Yeah.
a while. I would say it was probably like 6 to 10 months, somewhere in between there.
Okay.
I remember watching them watch us interact, and that kind of was the validation. Like, and every time we would be together around my family afterwards, they would come to me and be like, he is just enamored with you.
Mm-hmm.
And they liked that because, you know, they've only ever seen me with one person for 7 years before, and he was a dick, which is
Okay.
not the same.
Dick.
Not the same dick.
That's in your podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
How old were you when you met this sugar daddy?
So 21, I think.
21.
Yeah.
You were 21. He was in his 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the sugar dynamic like? Did you have a monthly allowance? Did he just take you on vacation?
There wasn't a set monthly allowance. He would take me to dinners. I think the first day that we met, he got me, it was either a diamond necklace or like Tiffany's or something like
The
that.
first date?
The first date, yeah, he showed up with, I think it must have been Tiffany's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
A guy could go broke doing that.
Heck yes.
As many first dates as I've had.
Yeah, that was really special. And then he would just like treat me, hey, go get a massage, hey, you know, go get your nails done, go shopping. I think that evolved into like having a credit card. But that's hard for me because I'm not the manipulative, I'm going to max out the card because I have it kind of person. Like I have respect and like I actually valued this person and respected this person. So it was very much a relationship for me.
Lily, you've had credit cards and you felt the same way, didn't you?
Yeah, I currently have a credit card and I'm told to use it for whatever I want and I don't have to ask, but I definitely don't without saying, is this going to be all right?
Right. It just seems
So,
like the
yeah.
cordial thing to do. I don't know. But I know that there's so many women out there that's just like, I'm going to max it out every month because I know it's going to get paid off and then I can do it again.
I think Kimmy has her billionaire's card, right?
I think so.
Yeah, but she's the same way. I don't think she
Yeah.
really uses it that much.
I don't think we're the type of people to take advantage. And if we were, I don't think the person that we're in a relationship with would continue to just be understanding. You know what I'm
Totally.
saying?
Yeah.
We respect
Mm-hmm.
their generosity.
It's definitely a reflection of our character. And I think that people know that. Like you're saying, like they can sense that, whether it's energy or whatever it is. I think that there is this like cunning kind of vibe that you can get from some type of sugar babies, whatever. where you're like, I know you're going to take me for everything.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so you moved to Scottsdale.
I did. Yeah. We moved to North Scottsdale, like right off of Pima and the 101.
Which is a
and
very nice area.
yeah, it was beautiful. And my life just changed so much. I was so much happier. I mean, it's sunny all the time. I was hiking every morning. I always wanted to get a Great Dane puppy my whole life, but my parents were like, you're out of your damn mind, girl.
Great Dane puppy. I have a renter with a Great Dane puppy. That's a horse.
It's a horse, yeah.
Traipsing around in my red house.
Yeah, and my guy, he had never really had a dog besides when he was little, but he was like, if you want one, I'll get you one. And I'm like, oh, this is so fantastic. So we ended up talking with a breeder in Alabama, and I got my first Great Dane puppy, and her name is Carrera Mira. So a little bit of backstory on that. He is a car fanatic. So when I say cars, anything, car shows, Concours d'Elegance, Formula One.
This is the guy that you moved down here with?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he really brought me into that scene, and it's like what I'm just
So you
obsessed
love it
with.
too.
I love it.
And so you just went to the Barrett-Jackson
I did.
by yourself.
I was so crazy.
Unfortunately, I hadn't met you yet. We would have grabbed Alejandra and we would have all gone and had a good time. I love that show, and I just kind of fell in love too with cars in that style, as they're just pieces of art.
That's what I say.
You look at the fenders and the chrome that they had on these cars back in the 40s and 50s, and you're just like, the workmanship was so meticulous and unbelievable.
Totally. Sometimes you have these weird, like, one-off collaborations where the coach, right, is made by, let's just say Lamborghini, and then the chassis is made by Ferrari, and there's like two of them in the world, and one of them is in front of you.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I guess it's like, some people are like, okay, it's a car, but I'm like, someone handcrafted that. There was not machinery. I look at it like art, and it's moving art. And I think it's also like a dying breed of art. I don't think there's a lot of people that love classics. They love supercars. They like the Bugattis. They like the sexy things. And I'm like, there's nothing sexier than a 1937 Ford.
Lily, have you ever been out there?
I have not been to Barrett-Jackson, but we're going on Saturday.
Oh my
and
gosh, you're going
I
to love
ran
it.
across an article this morning that said they're going to do another show in October this year. I guess they did one back in 2020 in October, and was it 2020, 2021? They're going to do it again in October. And I sent that article to Trucker, and he's like, yeah, they were having to turn cars away because people were so excited about showing at this.
Yeah, I've heard this is the biggest and best one that they've had yet.
And I'm so excited because
For the podcast.
I do love
might run out there.
cars.
Yeah. Well, if you've never been, highly recommend it. Amanda recommends it. Have you even missed a show since he introduced you?
Never.
Yeah.
That's why it was really important to me. So he's still in my life. We're not together, obviously, but he's still in my life. And it's just my thing. I would have felt horrible about myself if I didn't go. But truthfully, I used to take off for probably 8 years. I would take off all of Car Week because I think that Barrett-Jackson is the one that's very in the media. It's very pushed. But Car Week starts off with the Concours d'Elegance, which used to be at the Arizona Biltmore. Billions of dollars of cars, one-offs, and then that kicks it off. And then throughout the week, Barrett-Jackson's going on, and that's kind of like what I like to say, like the state fair of the cars.
That's a good analogy.
Because I mean, like the food outside, and then there are a few other auction houses, which unless you're really like into the scene, I guess you wouldn't really know
Yeah,
about.
they're
but,
smaller
like,
tents. around.
Bonhams,
Yeah.
Gooding, RM, and those are the ones where you're going to have your $15 million, $90 million cars that people are calling in from Dubai to purchase,
right.
which is cool to like walk around and see those. So we always did all of them together.
Okay, so we got off track a little bit, but when you mentioned cars, oh my God, because I'm going to go either today or tomorrow. So
Enjoy it.
I was introduced to it, I think in 2000, when was it? 13 or 14, 12, somewhere around there. And I haven't missed a year yet.
Yeah.
And I actually find it a great sugar date. I'll take whoever I'm dating at the time and take them out there, and they all seem to have enjoyed it tremendously. Yeah. So
Well, if you go tomorrow, I might be able to go with you. I'll be back in town.
yeah, you know what? Let's plan on it. Let's try to do that.
Yeah, and maybe Trucker can even leave work early and join us.
Trucker, that's her guy.
Okay.
We call him Trucker because he owns a trucking company.
Fun. That's a good, yeah.
So
He needed a nickname,
yeah,
so
Lily's the queen of
Trucker
nicknames.
it is.
All right, so this gentleman from Chicago who moved you down here introduced you to cars, and then how long did that relationship last?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Wow.
How did that fall apart?
You know, it actually really didn't fall apart. So, you know, at the very beginning, we just kind of established like what was going to happen. He didn't want to have children. He didn't want to get married again. I knew that one day I wanted that, but at that point in time, I didn't. But I was like, hey, I don't really want to date, but doing life with you is fun. And so we moved to Scottsdale. We got that apartment. We ended up getting a house up in very close to Desert Mountain. And we were up there for 2 years. And I think I had graduated from undergrad. So I was going to DeVry online before, and he really pushed me. He's like, hey, we're in Arizona now. You should really apply. You're super smart for ASU. So I did, got in, graduated with a 4.0. And then he was like, you should go to grad school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I ended up going to law school, and I was in a master's program. Right before I started the law program, I think we just sat down and had a conversation, and it was like, I don't want to hold you back from the people that you're going to meet in law school. You are amazing, and you want all of these things, and I feel like if you're with me, I know that you're such like an empath, and you're like, I'm very loyal, that you wouldn't explore opportunities that you would normally explore if you were single.
You know what? That's such a good point. And I think that's something that, you know, I'm 55 now, and my girlfriend, Sugar Baby, is 27. But we're a little bit more serious than that. There are moments where I'm thinking, man, you know, I'm almost to retirement age. You're just beginning. Am I holding her back? I don't know.
I think that it's a conversation about values, really. But also, it depends on age and stuff like that, because I think that your values, they evolve as you get older. And I knew at that point going into grad school that it was still like the itch to have a baby still is here. I mean, I'm still married, working on the divorce. And I'm like, I know I want to be married again. You know, you kind of know when you know. So.
Okay. So you guys parted ways?
We did. Yeah. We parted ways, but not even really that far. He moved almost immediately right next to where Barrett Jackson is held.
Okay.
And I was in an apartment.
Now, how wealthy was this guy? Sounds like he had quite a bit.
He, as far as like net worth, I don't know. He was very humble.
What was his industry? You don't have to say specifically what he did, but.
A consultant in transportation and waste management.
Okay.
We could do really whatever we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very financially savvy, and he wouldn't be over the top for no reason. But we always did great stuff and had nice things.
Yeah.
And did he pay for your college education and your graduate school?
He didn't, actually. He bought me a Mercedes, though.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it was super nice. Everybody was, you know, riding the train to school, whatever, the light rail.
Yeah.
And I was like rolling up in the new C350.
Yeah.
It was great.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Okay. So now you're kind of thinking, what am I going to do now?
I just had fun, really.
Mm-hmm.
So being that I don't have family here, I only had friends. He was my support. And so we would still see each other, not sexually or whatever, but if I needed something, he'd come over. They were his dogs. I had 2 Great Danes now at that point. He would take them. He'd pay for their vet bills, things like that. I was just dating for like a while.
Let's get into why you started the podcast.
Yeah, loaded question.
Yeah. You've got a great voice for it.
Thank you.
Sound so smooth. I told you I'm on, I think, episode 9. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you have 13 out now or something.
I just released 15 yesterday.
Yeah. It's been a roller coaster ride listening to it. It's, you know, at first I thought, well, I'm just going to get an idea of what's going on. And now I'm hooked. It's kind of like a soap opera where I feel like I'm living Amanda's life and seeing it how it was from, what was it, 2021, 2022?
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So tell us a little bit about why you started a podcast.
So the first word that comes to mind is accountability. And I think that what I experienced actually with the person who I'm still married to is so shocking to me to look back and realize that that was my life, that I needed to talk about it. The trauma, the devastation, the infidelity, all of that, because I didn't think that I was ever going to get over it if I didn't get it off of my chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to give a little synopsis and then you can kind of take it from there. From what I understand, you met a gentleman, a Scottsdale bro. I've seen pictures of him. It's not hard to find. If you want clues, just go to her podcast and she gives enough clues. But good looking guy. I showed the picture to my sugar baby, Alejandra, and she's like, oh, he's very attractive.
He is.
He's a bodybuilder, sharp dresser. Seems like he's got his shit going on. But there's a lot more to that story.
Veneers.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you meet this guy and what is the age difference?
He is 30 years old. So I'm just 2 years older. I met him on Instagram. He was selling fitness programs. And I was in the moment like, okay, let's get back into working out. And I saw that he lived in Scottsdale. Honestly, I would never have gone for a person like him. Like, he's not my type. I like these Italian daddies, you know, and not from like a fatherly sense, but like, don't fuck with this guy. He's protective. This man was not that. He looked like everything, like you said, the Scottsdale bro, hung out in the vortex. Well, that's what I call it, Old Town.
He's the kind of guy you'd see hanging out at the W in the bar.
Totally.
Right. Background on him, he's Mormon.
Yes.
And we have a ton of Mormon listeners. We've had a lot of Mormon guests.
Okay.
I actually was Baptist growing up, and I met a girl that was going on a Mormon mission in Texas. And then, you know, the missionaries came over, and you went through the same thing.
Totally.
So that's why I relate to that, and I ended up joining the church. I haven't really been in over 20 years, but I guess that would be my current affiliation because I haven't gone anywhere else.
Yeah.
So he was Mormon, put on a good face, a good front, but oh my goodness, there's a whole nother life
Yeah.
that he was living that you were unaware of.
Yeah. Initially, I was like, this is a God-fearing, just Mormon good boy. I felt like I was going to corrupt him, given my backstory. I was married before and the sugar dating and all of that. Come to find out, a simple Google search will show you he has escorted for men. He
had sugar daddy.
He has multiple sugar daddies.
Shocking.
But still, when we were together in first meeting, we were going to church, not just on Sundays. We were doing like family home evening. We were doing all the events. And we were like, you know, if you're talking about the YSA of the young single adult ward of a Mormon church, it's kind of like high school. And we were the popular couple.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I had found out about this stuff on the internet, and I almost saw it as this, I don't know, maybe I took it as, okay, he's not perfect, but that's okay because I'm not either. And now I feel okay to share with him my backstory. Hopefully me sharing my backstory will make him be more honest and divulge the stuff that I found on the internet. And he did.
Okay. How far into the relationship did you discover this whole other life that he was leading that does not coincide with the teaching of the Mormon church?
It was literally like week 2.
Her friends
Week 2.
did some background and sent her this information. And they're like, okay, either you're going to run for the hills or this is your guy.
Yep.
There's going to be no in between.
Yep.
And I'm quoting basically from your podcast.
Yeah, they said either this
Gosh.
is your soulmate or you're going to be completely devastated. And I think that was also because there was definitely this very strong tone of financial domination, that whole world, which I had been a part of also before the sugar dating. I was kind of diving into that. And they were like, this guy, he does what you used to do. Like, this is crazy.
I don't understand what you mean about financial domination. Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, I can definitely
This is a good
elaborate.
subject.
We could talk for hours about this. Okay. So there are individuals that they sexually get off on people taking money from them. And it could be like a physical, you go to an ATM, whoever this dominant person is, whether it's male or female, comes to the ATM and you just give them the cash. And that experience, that interaction is just so erotic for them.
What?
And it goes so deep because that's an in-person, right? But online, these individuals who are doms, who do financial domination, they have set up this world in which there's a hierarchy. They're like at the peak of it and everybody else is beneath them and they need to pay them money because they're worthless and all the money should go to the person at the top. So sometimes they'll give them access to checking accounts, credit card numbers. My husband actually was on somebody's direct deposit. His account split his paycheck. This was a person who worked at Walmart. So it's not people who are wealthy only. He would give him 25% of his 2-week paycheck that was maybe like $800.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There's another term for it too. I heard it called pay pigs.
Oh yeah. So the pay pigs are like the people giving the money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lily, you haven't come across that?
No, this is new for me.
Yeah. And, I see it a lot more in the sugar baby world, but there's men who, they're looking for pay pigs, guys that really get excitement and, like she said, sexual enjoyment almost out of just sending people large amounts of cash. And I don't know, it exists.
It seems crazy. And
She's a testament that it exists.
Truthfully, I'm not a doctor at all, but it's mental illness is what it is. It's people who have graduated from different types of sexual pleasure kind of curbing, like they can't get sexual pleasure out of these things, so they go out to all the extremes. They enjoy the fight of it. They enjoy being like someone being like, send me $1,000, and them saying, no, like, master, I can't. No, yeah, you can. No, that whole thing is like them watching, double penetration porn for some people.
Right.
So it's wild. It's hard to understand.
So besides having these financial dominant men sending him money, he was also doing cam and OnlyFans to make money.
Yeah. So when I had found out about him doing OnlyFans, he had actually stopped to kind of put on this facade that he wanted to not live that life anymore. And I didn't ask him to, but he stopped. And then he was selling life insurance. And it seemed like that was going relatively well. Fast forward a few months into our relationship, and I noticed that there were men that were texting him quite a bit. And so between that time, I hadn't really thought about Googling and seeing if it was back up or anything. And I think one day I had turned on a notification for one of the websites that's specifically for muscular men. And I got a notification. It was like, your favorite performer's online. I'm like, no way. I was like on my way to his house and I was like, there's no way. And so I clicked it and here's the guy I'm seeing that's telling me that he wants to get married, that, he wants me to convert to Mormonism and we're going to get sealed in the temple. And he's like jerking off naked for dudes on the internet.
And
Right.
he showed his face and everything?
Oh yeah, this face, he's obsessed with himself. He would
Oh,
never not show
goodness.
his face. He's that's the money.
I mean, he's a
maker.
good-looking guy. He's got a great smile. A bro.
Yeah.
I know your podcast runs hours and hours and hours, and
Yeah.
we just want to jump a little bit. And then on top of that, all the money they were making was going to the gambling addiction.
Yeah. I was unaware of any type of addiction. He actually, along with, being Mormon, he's like, I don't drink. We would do raves and stuff and we would Molly, but that was like situationally. It was not, he didn't even smoke weed, whatever. He was addicted to gambling and he hid it from me well for probably about 8 to 10 months. And the only way that I found out was when we eventually started living together, and he was overpromising what he could commit financially to. And then I was having to be the person to pick up not only like my part, but his part as well, which was depleting because at that point I had lost my job after COVID and was actively helping him with life insurance and like trying to be a team. So that was crazy.
And you were saying there would be so much money flowing through our account.
Oh my God.
And at the end of the month, we'd have like $5.
Honestly, if you looked at the bank statements just for his checking accounts over the past 3 years, I would say that every single one of them monthly has about $25,000 to $35,000 being deposited into it. And then at the end of the month, there was like 6 cents.
Yeah.
And none of it was spent on bills.
And he's just
Responsibilities.
gambling that all away.
Yeah. It was sports betting a lot. And then eventually it graduated to online blackjack and online slot machines. You know, it's hard once you know about something like this. Every time your person is on their phone, you think they're doing it. And so I was hyper aware. If he said he was working on it and he was not going to do it, I wanted to believe him because, yeah, you didn't tell me about the problem, but it's embarrassing, you know? So I didn't know how to take that. I also have never dealt with or been around anybody who has a gambling addiction. So maybe I thought it was a little bit more navigatable than it truly is.
Well, and at one point, you actually kind of said, well, let me help you with the gambling.
Totally.
And you were out there basically picking horses, not per se horses, but picking teams to bet on. And
I felt like if I asked him to teach me about it, I always need to understand stuff. I didn't understand. I'm like, why can't you just fucking stop? And so he was like, okay, oh, you're interested. And I'm like, yeah. So I thought that if he was teaching me about it, then he would be more transparent with maybe how much, and it could be something that he would share with me. And that actually was the case. However, what I didn't know, again, about gambling addiction is they give you only what they want to give you, and then the rest is all behind the scenes, and they're embarrassed about it. So there was a lot more gambling, thousands and thousands of dollars of gambling going on that I was unaware of.
let's go back to the whole sugar daddy thing. So he had men from Hawaii, from the East Coast, Boston. He had
Austin, Texas.
Men everywhere showering him with gifts.
Yeah.
And money.
Yeah.
And trips. Paid for his rent.
Sometimes. If they did pay for the rent, it probably was gambled away because the rent was almost never paid. Like, it was me paying it most of the time. But he didn't say that these individuals were his sugar daddies. He would say they were a past client. And I had known that there had been escorting in the past. And I said, is that going to continue? He's like, no. And I'm like, just to put some boundaries out here, I'm not ever going to be okay with you doing escorting in real life. If it's virtual, if it's OnlyFans, if it's camming, I just really didn't care.
Yeah, because it's not emotional.
Yeah,
you know that
not.
he's not getting connected emotionally to these
Exactly. And I was like, hey, you know what? You have abs. That's rare for, just in general. I'm like, he's got a good dick. Okay, make money off of it. I was not jealous of anybody looking at my person. I would be jealous of someone having a relationship or him confiding in someone else aside from me, which later on I come to find out that all of these people are not just past clients. They're like his confidants. He does what they tell him to do. And they're all gay men who are sexually attracted to him. And it's a weird scenario where it's like, I thought gay men were supposed to be my allies. I thought we'd go out dancing to share, and now they're like, leave your soon-to-be wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lily, you have a thought?
So he's bisexual, openly bisexual? Well, I guess not openly, but did he admit it to you?
No, I had asked him up front. I have I guess I have 6 gay uncles, so I'm very open in all of that whole space. I said, are you gay? No. Are you bi? No. Are you sure? Because maybe I would be okay with that. Maybe. I don't know. And he's like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, okay.
Matter of fact, you even said that he would talk down or bad about gay people.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he was
It's so crazy.
extremely homophobic, using the derogatory terms, but he had so many gay friends. So
Right.
the name of the podcast has it as really truthfully a dichotomy. You're Mormon, but also you're a gay escort. You are gay for pay, but you're homophobic. All of these things are completely polar
So
opposites.
you thought this man that you were falling in love with was an alpha male, and then you started discovering he was actually a submissive to these gay men.
Totally.
And so is he denying that he's having sex with these sugar daddies?
Yeah, so if he had gone on a trip when we were together, whether we were engaged or married over the course of the past 2.5 years, he would say something along the lines of, I'm going to go there. He wants me to be there. He's going to give me it wasn't even a lot of money. It was like $2,500. And I'd be like, I don't want you to be there in person. 100% is not going to touch you, right? And he'd be like, no. And then say something horrifically homophobic. And so to me, I was like, if that's how he feels, like, why would he let a man touch him? Like, why? But yeah, I was brainwashed. So
Yeah. He was overcompensating with the derogatory talk because he's obviously, at the very least, bisexual.
yeah.
There's no amount of money that would make you have sex with the same sex person if there wasn't something in it for you, I don't think.
So my theory, I guess, just because it's really important because of my family and who I am and how I align with sexuality, I don't ever want to label his sexuality because it's not my place to do so, even though I fucking hate him. It's not my place to do so. But I think that he actually is sexually attracted to money. And I think that whether it's a guy or a girl or
an animal.
or a
Thanks, Lily.
tranny. Yeah, we're all thinking it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I think as long as the end result is money, he will do it because I don't really think I think he's so disassociated from anything sexually that it doesn't mean anything to him.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Is there a word for that? Being sexually attracted to money?
It starts with a T, and I can't remember.
Yeah, I've seen it, but yeah, it's kind of a long word.
It's one of the original
Weird ones,
posts on my Instagram, I think, because I was
Yeah.
putting like a lot of definition and keywords
Right.
up front. Yeah.
So your podcast is still ongoing. You're still releasing new episodes about this whole drama.
Yeah.
How many episodes do you anticipate it'll take to get through or to get people caught up?
So we're at 15 now. I would say my hopes are that it should be wrapped up to present day at 18 with me.
Mm-hmm.
The story doesn't stop with me, though. And I think that that's actually, I always think that it's weird when I tell this story. I'm like, that's not even the crazy part. But then that doesn't stop ever. I found out that he did this to 9 other women.
Yeah, it's not just you.
It's not just
They like to make it think that it's all your fault,
My
and
fault.
it is you, and you're the problem.
Yep.
I've been through this.
The gaslighting is
Yeah.
unreal.
Lily,
Are you
have been-
divorced?
Not yet.
Yeah, she's still
No.
married to him.
Oh gosh. Is it difficult disentangling from him financially? And
So he literally bankrupted me. He blew through 2 of my 401ks. And I say blew through, he didn't take them himself. It was a manipulation. We need to pay for our life. I'm down and out. Please help me kind of thing for me to do that. And then gambled away money in our shared accounts. And then he abandoned me, I think a total of 9 times. And the last time was after being evicted because he was supposed to be paying the rent and he just never did.
Now, when she says abandoned, she's meaning like she'll be in her room and then he'll just get in the car and leave and drive to Las Vegas or wherever, right?
That's the typical destination is Las Vegas, yeah.
Where he was from.
I would not suspect it. It would be a day where we had a good day. I'd go to the grocery store, I'd go and get gas or whatever it was, and I'd come back and he wouldn't be there. And then I wouldn't be able to find him. Sometimes we'd be gone for weeks, and other times
And you're married.
We're
And he'd
married.
be gone for weeks.
Weeks, yeah.
no communication.
Initially, no, but then it would start to trickle in. If I wasn't actively trying to communicate with him, it would just trickle in. And he would send, I think he would cash at me sometimes. 33 was my lucky number. So he sent me $3.33. I'm sorry, with a note on Cash App.
That's how he'd message you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the podcast is quite interesting. Almost said entertaining. It is entertaining, I guess.
Totally.
Kind of like those murder mysteries are entertaining, even though they're tragic. This is a tragic story that will keep you. I told her, I said, I've already listened to how many episodes in just a few days. And I'd find myself driving from job to job, and I'd turn it on and just be shaking my head going, it just keeps getting crazier.
Yeah, I think that I initially went into this whole experience hoping to like educate some people, definitely warn people about him to potentially save women, men, whatever. And the result is that my listener base is actually kind of now 50-50 split between men and women.
Which is a surprise to you.
Very, very big surprise. Men are like eating it up. And it's more so almost like dark entertainment. People who know me, they feel bad. Hey, you know what? I can't wait for next week's episode. So sorry that happened to you. But I need to know what happens. You're like sitting on the edge of your seat. And
Right.
I obviously intentionally set it up that way, but it really is a drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So where do you see yourself going when you've kind of wrapped it up? Are you going to continue the podcast?
Yeah. And actually, I think that after season 1, which is the full story with all of the other women, they're sharing their stories too.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm actually going to have other individuals like bring their stories, submit their stories, and not just women, but men too. I'm a huge advocate for men's mental health, and I think that it doesn't get talked about enough. I think there's a lot of feminists in the world right now, and I think that they're the problem. Yeah.
Can I ask how you found all these other women that he had duped
Yeah.
or
I just started.
abused? I guess it's abuse.
I just started asking questions, whereas before I kind of turned the other cheek. He has an ex-wife and a few ex-fiancés, and his story to me with all of the women was just like villainizing them. They're horrible people. They stole my stuff, blah, 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 blah. I just had wrote them off because I'm like, whatever, that was my truth that I knew. So then when he left the last time, I was really in a horrible mental place, and I was like, I'm not going to make it out of this alive, and I need to do something to make sure that he never will contact me again. So reaching out to them was actually almost like insurance, life insurance kind of, because I knew that if I reached out to them, there would be absolutely no way ever that he would try to get back with me and manipulate me back into that cycle.
And these are the women that are going to guest on your podcast
Oh, yeah.
and tell what he did to them.
I have men and I have women. Yeah. I think I have 6 women who are all exes, multiple years exes, and then 2 men.
Is he well aware of your podcast?
Oh, he's aware.
How is he reacting?
He's not, because it's all true. We're actively in the middle of a divorce. He had filed for a divorce, and I could have just signed the papers, but I went to law school. I believe in the legal system as much as I probably shouldn't. I'm just. And so I have kept all of the receipts, and I am representing myself in my own divorce. And he has hired attorneys, and, they were kind of like seeking a behavior order, through the family court. And I'm like, one, you can't do that because it's like a First Amendment thing. It's not like family stuff. I'm not going to be silenced about it, but I know that he probably tells everyone he's still friends with, don't listen. But I know that when he goes to the gym and he needs a really good pump to get really pissed off, that he's probably listening to it.
So do you think that the steroids is a big part of his mental issues? You think that's affected him, or is just magnified it a
I
little
guess
bit?
I don't know, because I don't know if he was ever really not on them when I have known him. I can tell you certainly since the steroids had ramped up, the hair was just falling out quicker and quicker.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure. I mean, he's definitely, there's something going on there mentally.
I have one more burning
Well, I've
question.
got a couple questions myself.
Has he been excommunicated from the Mormon church?
Oh, gosh. I wish I could say yeah to that. I have reached out to our church officials. I'm upset with the Mormon church because they should have acted as a fiduciary to me as a new member. All the stuff they knew about him, they didn't tell me. In fact, they were just like, no, get married. Actually, pick a date. It was very, very pushed and forced. When all of this had happened, I reached out to the leaders and I was like, you guys need to do something. Because if you don't, he's going to go to another state, join another church, have his records transferred, and do this to another woman.
Well, what can they do, though?
Well, they could excommunicate him.
Do they know all this?
They do, but what I learned is that there has to be a police report. And it's like, if you're a narcissist and you're mentally, emotionally abusing somebody, how am I going to make a police report about that? I mean, I would if I could.
And you know what? Speaking of police report, that reminds me, when you first met him, he admitted to you that he has a felony.
Yeah, he had a violent felony.
For?
Strangulation.
Oh, dear God. Well,
Yeah.
they should have excommunicated him just for that. But I thought they would excommunicate you just for straight up adultery.
I think that
No.
you have to go like in front of the board and
Yeah.
they'll put you on
It's not
probation.
as harsh as that.
But they'll definitely excommunicate you for gay relations. And I had found papers from the church that he was on probation because someone had found the gay stuff that was on the internet. And I'm like, okay, but you're not supposed to do this, but now here you are doing this, and adultery and abandonment, stealing, lying, all the stuff. But they won't do anything unless there's a police report.
I mean, look at his OnlyFans. That would be grounds for excommunication as well.
Totally.
Oh,
All right.
goodness.
So I know you refer to him as Dick throughout your whole podcast series.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any hope for Dick?
I don't think so.
I know you saw a lot of good in him. You seem to, throughout the podcast, you're like, yeah, but I'm seeing a guy that nobody has given a chance to.
Yeah, I actually talked about this last night with Kyle for his interview. I think that these type of people, when you first meet them, you get person A. And person A is amazing and wonderful and everything that you want, even more so, things that you didn't know you needed, and fills all those voids in you. And eventually you fall in love with that person. And then the mask falls and you see person B. And so as me, I'm in love with person A. I don't know person B, but person B is hanging around. And when people are like, person B sucks, I'm saying, no, but person A is so great. He's wonderful.
And that's what kept you there for so long.
He's really in there, and he's only being person B as a product of his circumstances and situations and trials. But the reality is that he's neither of these people. He doesn't have feelings and he doesn't have emotions, and he mirrors whatever is advantageous to him in the moment.
So do you think you would label him a narcissist?
Oh yeah, narcissistic sociopath for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So doesn't recognize nor admit that any of his behavior is problematic.
There are moments where he does. I mean, you can very easily find stuff on the internet about him. And there was a time, probably a few years ago, where he did a whole Facebook 700-word post about how he has had gay relations and he feels like a failure, and he put it all out there. But then
On social media.
on Facebook, of all of the social medias. Yeah. I think he
Gosh.
has like glimpses of, I want to not be this person. And unfortunately, during one of those glimpses, when he was in his God-fearing Mormon mode, I was there and he was like, I'm going to grasp on to this. And I think that that's really, because I ask myself all the time, why did you marry me? Out of all of the women that you've done this to, like, why would you take it to the step of actually marrying me? And I still really don't know the answer to that. And I think that maybe somewhere deep down, he does want to be, I can't even say it like that. Not that he wants to be a good person, but that he wants to be normal. And I don't think that normal is possible for him at all.
Yeah, that's too bad.
That is too bad. Well, I'm telling you what, if you guys want a dark entertainment for hours and hours and hours, you got a long road trip coming up, you need some time to kill, I highly recommend going to the Dichotomy Diaries Podcast. It's on everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I listen to it on Apple, but I believe it's everywhere.
On Apple, Spotify, Google, Podbean. I put up episodes I try to do it every Tuesday, but my life with, the divorce and work and all of it, it's a lot. I try my best. I also have visual episode kind of timelines that I post on Instagram. And so that's a lot of fun. My Instagram it's pretty out there, but I think the visual thing is good when you're trying to imagine somebody who's so horrible.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, we will definitely put a link to it at the bottom of the description of this episode. But Amanda, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
Hopefully you enjoyed your time here with us.
Definitely.
I think it was very eye-opening for Lily and going to be eye-opening for a lot of our listeners. She's just shaking her head.
I learned some things.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
You learned what a pay pig is, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Financial domination.
Yeah.
Goodness. If people just want to feel good about giving away their money, send it my direction.
There you go.
Just go
I'll
on
take
Twitter.
it.
That's where they all live. Yeah.
They live in the Twitterverse?
In the Twitterverse.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
Well, if you guys want to share your crazy sugar dating stories like Amanda has, and even if it doesn't involve sugar dating, if it's just crazy, we want to hear it. Go to our website at secretsofasugardaddy.com and also follow us on Instagram. We post all kinds of funny memes and updates about the show and things like that at the same name. And then, finally, if you want to become a VIP supporter of the show, go to patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast, where we will post all of our episodes first before anybody else gets to hear them. We release one every Tuesday, but I'll post them in there usually on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and you'll get to listen to the entire episode before it goes out to the public. And we'd appreciate becoming a VIP supporter of the show because it ain't cheap to do a podcast, is it, Lily?
No, it sure isn't.
We have studio rental time. I pay Lily to help me edit them. And I started adding it up. I'm like, this damn thing's costing me quite a bit every year.
It's quite the easy little hobby.
Yeah. One day we'll make money at it, though. But if you will go there and subscribe, it's only $10 a month, and we really appreciate that. All right. Anything else, Lily?
Nope. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's go to Barrett Jackson.
Yeah, and house hunting. We got to go house hunting.
And
for
house
you.
hunting. Yes, yes.
Her and Trucker
Get
are
after
looking
it.
for a house. All right. Well, Amanda, once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck
for
on your
having me.
podcast.
Thank you.
I will be anxiously awaiting for updates.
You
So
will
I'm
be-
invested
you
in
will be
this
getting
fucking
them.
story now.
I know. It's not over yet. Just like the song says at the end. It's not.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Until next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.